Good evening and welcome to Active Citizens Parliament. My name is Sharon Chuku and I'm joined in the studio as always by the beautiful Ifoma Oji. Good evening. How are you doing? How are you doing, my love?
I'm fine. The ever beautiful Sharon Chuku.
Stop. Nice to have you do this again with me.
Same here every time.
All right, let's go straight to the stories. First, Atiku Abubakar says he will run for president in 2027. Not just another campaign, but a bid to rescue a nation he says has been left in its own intensive care unit. He argues that Nigeria has degenerated under the current administration's watch. Poverty, pain, and despair are rampant, and they must be decisively addressed. Meanwhile, in Kogi State, former Governor Yahaya Bello has pulled a bold move. He publicly urged members of the State House of Assembly to pledge their support for Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo. That's an intense image. A political gesture mixing humility, loyalty, and perhaps pressure. Now we're going to talk about how these two stories reflect our democratic state as a country. And I'm going to start with you, Ify. With that image, there's a video that I would like us to watch just before you make your comments. This is a video where he asked the members of the State House of Assembly to sit on the ground and then address them. Let's take a quick look at the video before we make our comments. All right, but before that, I wanted to ask, you've seen the video. What do you make of that entire image? What does he say? Is that loyalty or doing too much?
You know, before I comment on this particular news story, I am yet to, verify if this is actually, true. Because I'm seeing this as maybe a publicity, stunt. We already know who Dino Melai
No, it's a real life.
I'm coming.
It's a real life
He
situation.
loves drama. He loves controversies. So you never can tell if him and his team, he and his teams, put this video together.
An AI video.
Yes,
oh, you're thinking it's an AI video.
There's possibility because I mean there are other
let's talk from the aspect of if it's a reality.
Then, if it's reality, I am baffled by this. Like, it's more like this is somebody that have left office. So this is somebody that is no longer on seat, and he's asking the members, the lawmakers, to sit down and approve whatever his incoming would do, no matter what he says. I actually want us to probably take a look at the video because I want to talk. If I'm talking,
before we do that, let's first introduce our analyst in person of Mr. Maxwell Okoma. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Mr. Maxwell, can you hear us?
Okay.
So I think they're having a technical glitch, but before
yes,
that...
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. We thought there was
welcome.
a technical issue. How are you doing, sir? Good evening.
All right.
Let's take a look at the video for now.
Milki an zo da wannan batun na karawa shugabannin siyasa albashi. Me zaka ce?
Go and cooperate with the Speaker, other members of the House of Assembly of Kogi State, and be part of those that will support Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo. Are you getting my point? In everything that comes to the assembly, everything. Even if you don't understand.
All right, we just saw that video. Yes,
okay.
So I was just asking a question. With that video that we just saw, it was Yahaya Bello addressing the members of the Kogi State House of Assembly. He asked them to sit on the ground and he told them that when they get into the house, that any bill that is being passed, they shouldn't question it, and that they should support, you know, them that when they get into the house, that any bill that is being passed, they shouldn't question it, and that they should support, you know, the governor, Ahmed Usman Ododo. So what was your take on that, Maxwell?
All right, thank you very much. Good evening to you, and thank you for having me today. I've seen the video, which of course it's making it in the social media space. I see it as a democracy that we still have institutions of government that are so independent that They are not just dependent on some other arm, but institutions of government now depends on individual. Now, I want to remind you that the person of Yahya Bello was a former governor of Kogi State who no longer enjoy the immunity that is provided for under the 1999 Constitution. I also like to draw your attention to the fact that this same Yahya Bello is under probe, or like they make us believe,
by the
has
FCC.
a fraud case with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. That matter is still pending. He has avoided to be invited to the EFCC. He has not been arrested. There has been no prosecution of that case before the EFCC. And it says a lot about the selective style of justice which we are practicing in Nigeria. For a man as this to bring an institution of government, the people of Kogi State have selected who should represent them at the State House of Assembly. For them to kowtow to the decisions of one man and telling them how to operate for the rest of the 4 years, which they are to be in government, says a lot about the dividends of democracy which the people should be enjoying. So it is no longer in the interest of the people of Kogi State or the constituencies which they represent, but the interest of Yahya Bello, a former governor, the sitting governor, and Tinubu. You see, it's unfortunate that APC has decided to plunge us into this kind of style of governance of politics. But it is an aberration, it is an assault and an insult to the Constitution, and also, more importantly, it negates the principles of dividends of democracy which the people should enjoy. And I think that this action should be condemned totally. EFCC should do its job not to select the people who should prosecute, not Yahoo boys. Well, I'm not saying that they should not prosecute people who engage in Financial Crimes Commission. People who suffer a state like this should not be allowed to roam about in the
freely.
streets.
Thank you very much, Maxwell.
I wanted to add something. You know, I was saying something before I say let's view the video.
You can make your comment.
Yeah. You know, according to he said it all. This act of his is actually a disgrace to lawmakers, is a disgrace to the country at large. Now, imagine a whole lawmakers that are supposed to be debating, strategizing on how to move the country forward, are busy acting as servants to one man who have been in seat and who is no longer in seat. And I am asking myself, like, is this where we are at this point in time? Is it because he has the money? Is it because he's that influential? What exactly does he hold that these lawmakers will be sitting like peasants and listening to this man and doing as he says? It's quite sad. And this is the same man that was accused by US for inciting violence. This same man in the year 2020 is the same man that denied Nigeria ever having anything like COVID-19, that he was just glorified malaria. This is the same man that has a case with EFCC. You know, this EFCC same man case is coming is huge. It's funny. Really, I think at this point, Nigerian youths need to, I keep saying it, they need to wake up. Because if they allow this man, the person that he's even bringing in seat, he's basically a godfather to this man that he's bringing on seat. And if this man that he's bringing rules this thing in these states, you get, it's really going to be a serious damage to just Nigeria entirely. It's quite sad.
It is. And you know, the EFCC case, there are some comments on X. People were making several comments on the matter, and I would like us to just briefly take a look at some of these comments. So David Brand, MD, says, corruption lives in the hearts of Nigerians. Nigerian politicians, but one day go be one day. Amen. I hope so. Chidi said, Wike just looked at Sim and shook his head. Ododo loyalty to Bello is everything Wike prayed for. Kogi is not going to be saved, not anytime. Oh, wow. Odinaka Atiku says, support him even when he's looting Kogi treasury dry. Insane. This is funny. Youth in Process says, all right, okay, let's just stop there for now. Talking about the EFCC case, because on this topic, a lot of people were tagging EFCC to the story, and they were asking, is this not the man that you people claim to have been looking for? And you know, it begs the question, first of all, on the part of EFCC, there's supposed to be an independent body that would fish out for the fraudsters and people that perpetrate fraudulent activities. To now turn a blind eye is as though they are practicing selective judgment in a way, and they have become a tool in the hands of those that can afford it. But moving on, the next question I want to ask now is, the whole, that symbol of the House of Assembly, members of the House of Assembly kneeling down, to you, Mr. Maxwell, what does that mean? What does that mean? Telling them to sit down on the ground in order to address them. Mr. Maxwell, did you hear that?
I wouldn't want to say so much about. I wouldn't want to say so much about the whole sitting down on the ground thing. The reason is that, first, on one hand, is I recognize the fact that in Nigeria we all have our customs and tradition. You know, when it comes to how we pay respect or whatever the case may be. I don't know if he instructed them to sit on the floor, whether it was their own personal decision to sit on the floor. But I'm going to speak about what it symbolizes. What we see here is how people, a selected few who have been elected by the people, have put themselves in positions to play, you know, to be second fiddle. They put themselves in a position where they now look for the blessings of individuals, even though the people should be, you know, their first recourse when it comes to blessing. If the people can no longer have a say on who leads them and how the person should lead them, then it begs for a lot of, you know, answers. Them sitting on the floor, the whole humility, or like call it forced humility, just shows that Kogi State is in trouble. I bet you Kogi State is in trouble.
Exactly.
Because it will no longer be laws for the people, it will no longer be policies for the people at the Kogi State House of Assembly. It will be what Yahaya Bello says, what Yahaya Bello wants, and what Yahaya Bello wants to happen. That is all is going to happen. You know, he went ahead to talk about how he was sure that Ododo was going to be elected in 2027, and this other Bola Tinubu will be re-elected in 2027. So this is how much individuals have been empowered, because we have failed to uphold the principles of democracy and that which is provided in the Constitution. So it's laughable, as much as, you know, it's something that we should all weep about and actually put action in place to stop it from continuing.
Yes, you know, thank you so much, Maxwell.
In addition to what he said, it's quite humiliating.
It is.
You understand? Because just like he said, in culture, in tradition, that people kneeling down before somebody superior is a sign of respect. But when it comes to politics, it's actually humiliation. You get, because these are lawmakers. These people we are elected to scrutinize, not to kneel down before somebody.
I like that you said.
You understand? They have, yes, they were actually put in that position to scrutinize, criticize everything that government, the government or the people placed in power do. You get, but not
you know, based on that comment that Maxwell made about it being our culture,
independence, because they are basically not independent,
to be honest,
at this point.
You know, about that being our culture in Nigeria, I don't think that when it concerns, if you are elected by tradition, or they had a tradition ruling system or election system where they call traditional rulers and you elected, that's fine and good. You can show tradition all you want, but the House of Assembly in Kogi, is that really where you should be showing the humility and the culture and the so-called respect? I don't think that that was the place and the time to do that. But there is something Maxwell also said that we also have to look at from another perspective. We don't know if that was out of their own free will, if they decided to they didn't see the chairs were no longer comfortable and they wanted to sit down on the ground by themselves.
Lawmakers,
maybe, or the or Yahaya Bello asked them. So we really didn't get the video from that part. But whichever, that just shows a dependence on one man, and that is really scary for Kogi State as a state.
Even if he didn't tell them to, sit down on the bare floor, what about the things he was saying?
Yes, was that right? How can you say you should rubber stamp everything?
Like a whole lawmaker.
So where is the law being made?
It's just like what's it called when they were having this thing in Feast of Cana, whatever they say, this thing says you should do. When Virgin Mary was telling the people that whatever Jesus says you should do, you should do.
Okay.
Giving that vibe, whatever they say you should do it. Do not ask any question.
Yes, that was what he said. He said you shouldn't question anything.
I'm pained is the fact that these people are supposed to be independent body. They're not supposed to be listening to what somebody is saying.
It's as though they have replaced the law with Yahaya Bello.
Antagonize every single thing that they do. If they bring the wrong one, debunk it, fight against it. If they bring the right one, I give them appraisal.
Exactly.
It's so wrong in my own sight.
I think just to conclude on this, let's just conclude on this. But for you, Maxwell, going forward, how do you think, ethically, members of the House of Assembly should, act in such situations?
You see, the members of be it the State House of Assembly or the National Assembly, they make up the legislative arm, which is a very, very important arm with the democratic entity or the federalism that we claim to practice. Now, there are certain things expected for that arm to be as independent as possible, and that is why there was provision for separation of powers. It is so that we don't have overlap of powers or people, being arbitrary users of power. These are the reasons why these powers were separated. But if we now see where the executive, and in this sense, particularly, I like to mention that this person is no longer part of the executive, he's just an ordinary citizen.
Yes.
So what would be expected as proper ethics of members of the legislative arm is to show decorum and to show that they stand for the people. It is an insult to the legislative arm for them, upon being elected into office, to be receiving instructions or to be receiving their terms of reference from past governors. It is totally wrong. Their only term of reference should be the 1999 Constitution
Exactly.
and standing orders of their various state houses of assembly. But in this case, these people have not shown that etiquette of the office, ethics of the office. They've not shown that the legislature is independent. In fact, this has only shown that in Kogi State, one man controls the executive, controls the legislature. And this man is not even the state governor, but just some person who was privileged to be the state governor at one time.
Yes.
So it's improper. And I do hope that going forward, we will see better from members of the state.
Yes, thank you very much, Maxwell Ukoma.
I just wanted to...
All right, briefly, so we move on to the next story.
I just wanted to say this. We could see that even Nigerian youths are discouraged, and it's looking like they are being deceived into believing that their vote does not count. But the truth is that your vote actually counts and it matters. See, there are limits to this rigging thing. Just like this man has come out to say that the party or this man will keep on, Tinubu will win and the Ododo will still win. But at the end of the day, the power is still on Nigerian youth's hand. The onus still lies on us. If we say that this is the person we are going to vote and we protest if we are seeing any form of rigging or irregularities during election, we can fight against it. You get it's
exactly.
high time that we do the election. We can fight against it. You get it's
exactly.
high time that we do the needful. We can still do this.
Exactly.
They can rig election, but there is limits to what they can do. At a point, they will get tired.
Exactly.
We need to take back power in our hand, because in the first place, that is what defines democracy.
You know, we as a democratic nation, just to round this up, we must first remember the type of system of governance that we practice, and that is democracy. But just as Mr. Daniel Sacramento said in the morning, is as though these politicians have lost the value or the respect that they have for Nigerian citizens. Now they no longer think that power belongs to the people, they think that power belongs to the party. And come 2027, it's left for you to either maybe reinforce that idea that they have or to change it entirely. But talking about change, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has come to say that he will be running for presidency in 2027. Now, at 77 years old and having run 6 times already, is Atiku the best face for rescue? I mean, does his age and political past help or hurt this particular message? Maxwell.
Well, about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, I think that over time, well, some aspects of his message are one that I align with. Of course, at this time, with what we see going on in Nigeria, everybody must come together and all hands must be on deck to rescue Nigeria from the fangs, the poisonous and dangerous fangs of the APC. Because APC has taken us to where we never expected. In fact, although we expected it to be bad, we didn't expect it to be this bad. So I agree with him that we must all come together. But for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we are not interested in octogenarians anymore, because the job to remove Nigeria from where it is to the point where it's supposed to be in the Committee of Nations is one that requires depth of understanding of the problem, depth of agility, strength, energy. All of them who goes into office and leave office, you see how old they become.
Yes.
So we need a person who is still in touch with the reality, who is still in touch with the current 21st century technological know-how to push Nigeria from the point it is. And come on, all over the world we are talking about tech, we're talking about Web3 and how this will impact governance and how government will operate with these things. We don't need people like people who are already old enough to be resting at home. So, in my perception and my opinion, while he may be right about the fact that we need to move Nigeria away from the patterns of the APC, I agree that the ADC coalition is a good step in that direction. However, I would advise that we get younger people to come in and run the Nigerian governance and economic system.
So, Maxwell, you don't see Atiku's move as if coming from the source of determination and maybe passion for governance, seeing that he has run multiple times for this very position?
What we are seeing from Atiku today is an outlier. If you recall, for every time that Atiku has come out to contest the election, immediately he loses that election, he goes into ghost mode. He goes incognito till another electioneering season. So we have all expected it to be that way. In fact, when he ran with the person of Peter Obi in 2019, we saw what happened, that throughout the entire court process, it was only Peter Obi that was going to court to retrieve that mandate from the court, even though it failed. So what we're seeing today is a shift from the normal. So I wouldn't want to judge him on that, but I know, and I've said time without number, that for people like Atiku Abubakar, Bola Tinubu, they just have this on their bucket list. Believe you me, I said this before the 2023 general elections. They just want to answer President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If Atiku Abubakar is so passionate about moving Nigeria from the point it is to a better point, I think that he should play that role of a statesman. Atiku has been vice president for a period of 8 years. He was, before he became vice president in 1999, he had already won the governorship ticket of Adamawa State before he was called upon by Obasanjo. So he knows a lot about politics in Nigeria, and should be able to play that statesman role and bring in hands, support the governance when, you know, people like Peter Obi and other young people present themselves, you know, to lift Nigeria from the point it is.
Yeah.
So do you also agree with Maxwell that Atiku should support and not rule?
Yes, because if you check in the next 2027, Atiku should be 81 years. So somebody of that, I mean,
that's loud. We didn't calculate that, but by 2027 it'll be 81.
81. We don't need old minds. We don't need retarded ancestors. What we need in this country are fresh minds, young people. Just like what Maxwell said. I mean, we are moving into a technological era. You understand? We need people with that know-how. We need people right? We need those kind of persons. So I think he just played the role of a statesman rather than ruling. But there's something I want to comment for the fact that he said in one of his campaigns that he won't stop running. You get, even though he loses, he said he will keep on running. I love the fact that he has been consistent and persistent. You get, I mean, no, he no agree. You get, no agree. I mean, he has been placed in a position whereby, I mean, he served Nigeria as a vice president under Olusegun Obasanjo. Okay. I mean, even though their rivals, like recently, they are not in good terms anymore, but at the same time, he has been in position. He has run for at least 6 times.
Yes.
You get, so I think it's time for him to retire and rest. Let the people that have the, you know, strength.
Maybe passion is still burning through him.
Yeah, but
he can rest.
Yes.
You know the thing is that I believe that the advice that we can give to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is the fact that in order to contribute to the betterment of Nigeria, you do not have to be the president. I'm not saying anything, he can still come and run in 2027, but I'm just saying there are different positions, there are different ways that we can contribute to the betterment of the government. It is not just by being the president of the country per se. There are different levels of government where he can come in and become an active political actor that would further bring for good governance in Nigeria. But still talking about this, you know, if Atiku says he's going to be running in 2027 under ADC, now there is Atiku, let me just ask this question that is on everybody's mind. Atiku Abubakar from ADC, Labour Party with Mr. Peter Obi, current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from APC. How do you think will be the reception of Nigerians come 2027? If you can sort of predict, and let me start with you, Maxwell. If you can sort of predict the reactions, what do you think would be the criteria, the number one criteria that Nigerians will be looking out for come 2027?
Who were the candidates you mentioned? Let me hear them again.
Okay, I have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar from ADC, Mr. Peter Obi, maybe from Labour Party, we don't know yet, and then current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from APC.
Well, I can tell you for free that anything that makes Peter Obi be on any ballot whatsoever as the presidential candidate in 2027, that should be the choice that every Nigerian should be opting for. The reasons are not far-fetched. You see, like I said when I was talking about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Nigeria needs a president who understands the problem. Now, the first stage of solving a problem is an understanding of the problem. Prior to the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi took his time, went across Nigeria, went to several other countries, developed skills to address the problems after the understanding of the problem. Apart from that, you can see the yearning amongst the younger generation, even amongst the older generation. Recall that we had the highest, participation. When I mean participation, highest efforts to collect PVCs prior to the 2023 general elections because of the person of Peter Obi. He has the support of the youth, not just because, but his pedigree, his ideologies on governance, his antecedents back as a governor in Anambra State, and all he has been doing. He has spent his life giving back to the people. So if there is any election, I don't expect to see Atiku Abubakar, but if at all he comes out, because as it stands, I like to remind you that though he's part of the coalition, Atiku Abubakar of today does not have any political party that he's a member of. He has resigned from the PDP. But if it happens, and I'm still expecting for the coalition to do the needful and give the ticket to Peter Obi. But if it happens, however it happens that these three people are on the ballot, of course, we'll still have that same support for Peter Obi. And, you know, we'll see that he would definitely trump all of them with the current happenings in Nigeria.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Maxwell. To you, Ifoma, let's just wrap it up. What do you think? How do you think it would look like in 2027 with these three candidates on the ballot box?
Okay, I feel like in as much as Nigerians yearn for a better leader, we already see that. I mean, we've seen that Peter Obi could, you know, deliver. Maxwell have said everything he has been, both his contributions to the society, his philanthropist nature, and the rest of it. You could see that this is somebody that has Nigerians' interest at heart. But we should not forget that the person on that seat is still the ruling dragon. We still have Tinubu on seat, and it will be very, very hard to dethrone him, and that is why I keep on that seat is still the ruling dragon. We still have Tinubu on seat, and it will be very, very hard to
having you here. Also to you, Ifoma Odi, thank you again for having you here. Also to you, Ifoma Odi, thank you again for doing this with me here. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing here. And of course, our viewers, thank you again for following us across all social media platforms. If you haven't done that yet, please endeavor to do so. And the comment section, like I would always say, is yours for the taking. Drop in your comments, share your thoughts, opinions, views, and also do well to share our videos with your family, friends, loved ones. If you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we plead that you do so. And follow us across all social media platforms at Active Citizens Media. You can find me on my personal Instagram and Facebook at Sharon NM Chiku. And you, Ifoma?
You can find me on Facebook at Oji Sophia and on Instagram at Misselex.
What about you, Mr. Maxwell? Are you on social media? All right, okay. I think he has left us to go and enjoy himself. All right, till we see you tomorrow morning on Morning Pulse. Do have a good evening.